backtesting. There were some questions about backtesting, how to effectively backtest and whatnot. So the first thing is the first backtesting, what people normally like to do is it's called dead backtesting. It's not a term. It's like a term I made up for my own understanding, right? So this is done when you look back in the history of the charts. Best way to do this is to look at the exact times it is. So basically what dead backtesting is, dead backtesting is when you're like, okay, you know what, I'm going to go back into the charts, let's say 4 or 5 months, and I'm going to go to the 2018 of, let's say, a pair called the GPJPY, right? So you're going to go back in 2018 and you're going to backtest the whole year. You know, that is dead backtesting. What that necessarily do is like the the advantage of that backtesting is that you can backtest a big period of time in a small time frame. Like you can spend 1 hour or 2 hours and backtest maybe 4 or 5 months, you know, but what people don't understand is like when you're doing dead backtesting, you're doing backtesting on the times when you will essentially be trading. You know, sometimes people say, okay, well, you know, I have this chart, this monthly chart, and I'm going to look at all these different consolidation zones. You know, so when you're looking at different consolidation zones, you're not really aware that when these consolidations are happening, like let's say if you have a trading plan and your plan says that you're only going to trade 7 p.m. till 9 p.m. You know, so when you're looking back into the charts, you have to look at what happened at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. That's it. You're not going above a time frame. You're not going below a time frame. You're just sticking to that time. You know, this is the only disadvantage of dead backtesting is that you're not being exposed to live markets as it's happening. You know, because like it's like so when you trade demo accounts, you know, when you trade demo accounts, you open the trade, you let it play out. You're not really concerned about the stop loss. You're not concerned about the drawdown. You're like, okay, whatever, what happens happens. You know, but when you're trading a live account, then you're really watching candles form. You're really making sure that if price is going against you, if price is going in your direction, or what's happening. So when you're doing dead back testing, I would say only look at the times that you will be trading. Let's say I've been looking at US 30. You know, so the way how I back test, I do live back testing. This is the most effective way to back test, but it takes a long amount of time. So live back testing is done when the market is moving. You spend your time on a specific instrument at the time you would want to trade it, and you look for patterns that work and that may not work. You know, this involves taking paper trades, mental notes. This method takes longer to backtest, but definitely it's the most effective and yields good results. So what's happening now is, for example, I'm backtesting US 30. You know, so I could do two things. One, I could go back into the past months, and then I could see that, okay, how did US 30 move between 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.? You know, I could do that. Or what I could do is I could do live backtesting. Live backtesting is like when I consciously sit at the market and I say, okay, you know what? I'm going to look at US 30 from 6:30 till 9:30 a.m. Eastern in the morning, and that's what I'm going to do for the rest of the month. And for that month, I'm going to try to see that if I can really make sense of how it moves. You know, what's happening now is that I'm taking paper trades. You know, in my mind, I'm saying that, okay, if price is breaking a zone on US 30, I want to see how many times is that going to continue, you know, or if it's breaking, let's say, a candle's high. So I want to see what's the probability that it's going to continue moving up if it's breaking the highs, or what's the probability it's going to continue moving down if it's breaking the lows, you know, and I'm constantly taking mental notes. You know, I'm trying to see that, okay, how many times is this going to work for me? Because I want to start trading US 30 in June, so I have to make sure that I'm on point. But if I'm doing dead back testing, it's like I'm not really involving myself into the market. So I'm not really involving myself with the volume in the market, with the way the candles are moving, because, you know, sometimes candles can move really fast, you know, and when you're looking back at the chart, you don't really know how fast that candle is moving because it has already moved. But when you're doing live back testing, you know, okay, shit, okay, this candle's moving really fast. It's moving really quick. So maybe at this time, US 30 has a lot of volume. So maybe now the next day, when I come back to the charts, I maybe want to look at US 30 at this certain time because, you know, let's say at New York Open or NYC Open or New York, I have to see for myself that how much volume is there in that pair. I remember when I started to backtest GPJPY, GP in 2018 October. So my good friend told me about GP CAD. He said, "Hey man, it moves a lot of pips. It has a lot of momentum. It has a lot of volume. Candles are really big. You can catch really big moves." I'm like, okay, perfect. That's awesome. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch GP CAD for the next month. I sat and watched it for a month. And after that month passed, I had some conclusions that, okay, you know what, at certain times, GP CAD moves, so I may be able to trade GP CAD now. So those things you learn as you do live backtesting. When you're, let's say, trying to backtest, let's say, EuroCAD, the Euro and CAD. So when you're doing dead backtesting, the one important thing is, like, let's say if you're only going to trade in the New York session, you don't know what's causing CAD to move, when you're doing dead backtesting. Because number one, okay, let me just put on this thing here. Okay, no, it doesn't matter. So number one thing is you're not really sure that what's making CAD move, or you're not really sure what's making Euro move, because that's already happened in the past. But when you're doing live backtesting, you're taking into account what CAD is doing, what news is on the CAD, what Euro is doing, what news is on the Euro. So that's more effective. It takes a long time. Don't get me wrong. It takes a really long time, but it's more effective. It's much better for your psychology as well. Cause like, I know, GJ moves a lot. There's a lot of volume in GJ. There's a lot of momentum in GJ. When we have new guys come in, they want to trade, gold. So when you want to trade gold, gold has a lot of volume. So I always tell guys, hey, like, if you're going to trade gold, I want you to really focus on how gold moves. I want you to really sit and watch gold for the next month, because if you can't sit and watch something in the live market environment, it's going to get really hard for you to trade live as well. Because like when you do dead back testing, you're not exposing yourself to the live market. And that's an experience you only gain if you're looking at the live market. So that's very, very, very important. So always when you're doing back testing, pick a pair and then pick a time and then spend weeks, 4, 5 weeks, spend like a month and a half just looking at that pair. That way you will conclude, what's the word? You will have live conclusions of what's happening. You will have better ways to understand that pair. So it's very important. So again, when you're backtesting, spend time on the pair. Take your time, take like a month, watch it, how it moves during the time you trade, and then you're going to be much better at maybe deducting to the fact that, okay, now maybe this is the way I'm going to trade this pair. So let's move on to, I hope this backtesting thing is clear to everybody. So you have two choices: dead backtesting, live backtesting. Live backtesting is much better. It takes a lot of time, but the results are much, much better. Dead backtesting takes short amount of time, but the results are not that better. So it's up to you which one you want to choose. I would go with live backtesting all the time.